show ya Jamaican culture. We are nothing overproof from we just a do it to the culture.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Mark Jefferson Golding is set to hold court on Sunday when the opposition People's National Party hosts their 86th annual conference at the National Arena in Kingston. Much will be expected of the opposition leader as comrades look to him to chart the course for the mission to retake control of Jamaica House at the next general election. We'll have that discussion today on what we are set to hear from Mark Golding when he speaks to comrades on Sunday. Welcome to the Lead Story on this Friday evening, Friday, September 13th, Friday the 13th, 2024, a day that no longer holds any terrors for any people. The fact of Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street purged firmly from the system of those who watched that movie as a child and were scarred for a very, very long time. It was no nightmare when the PNP gathers at the National Arena on Sunday. At least they hope so, the comrades do, to hear from party bigwig, including the party president, Mark Jefferson Golding, speak about the mission to retake control of Jamaica House. He prepared a package for you to set the context for the discussion that we are going to have today, looking at what the opposition leader is expected to say as he motivates the charges for the long sprint to the next general election.
This Sunday, the National Stadium will be abuzz with music, sound systems, fashion, excitement, jubilation, good old rum, dancing, and speeches. This isn't a birthday party, not a Stone Love dance, not a wedding. This is conference, a marriage of politics and theatre craft coming together to create the pinnacle of the political calendar for both of Jamaica's main political parties. This Sunday, orange-clad supporters of the PNP will pack buses, cars, and the roadways, heading to the National Stadium for what is expected to be the last conference before the general election due in 2025. Conference for the PNP coincides with the September 1938 founding date as part of tradition, and this conference will be the 86th edition for the political party. The PNP is hoping to ride on the momentum from conference after its overperformance at the local government polls, which saw them capturing the KSAMC, the crown jewel of the municipalities, which hosts the country's capital. For Marky G, the local government polls was a feather in his cap for those who doubted his electoral capabilities. Not that we are prophets, but one can almost predict that the PNP will be highlighting its improved performance in the polls in comparison to the governing Labour Party. So what's on the agenda for conference? Well, the comrades will be using their orange horns to cheer on their favourite speakers, some of which include speeches from the newly installed Mayor of Kingston, Party Chairman Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, Opposition Spokesperson on Health Dr. Alfred Dawes, the PNP-YO's President, Senator Gabriella Morris, the Shadow Spokesman on Finance, Julian Robinson, Damian Crawford, former party president, Dr. Peter Phillips, and the most highly anticipated, the speeches from the party's chief organizer, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and the party's leader, Mark Golding. Conference started today with the private sessions, with the PNP heading back to conclave tomorrow for another private session. So can the PNP pull off one last hurrah before they face the polls? Well, Team Orange is pulling out all the stops to ensuring that come Sunday, the National Stadium will brim with excitement and people. The lieutenant of the PNP's organizational structure, the General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is here to discuss.
All right, Nika, thank you for that report. Let's take our first break here on Lead Story. And when we come back, we will get cracking with this discussion about the big public session of the PNP for their 86th annual conference on Sunday.
We can't say we're a friend now, Celine. We have to take on the road.
Yeah, man, we have to take on the same way. All right, Lord, thank you so much for this day.
Me, I do the work, and the people them accept it. Clarendon, Mandeville, but now we get to go into the inner city of Kingston.
I can't wait to learn more as we go across Jamaica into different churches to understand what they do.
Fresh off their appearance in last year's final, Glenmuir High are in the hunt for glory. They face last year's Da Costa Cup semi-finalists, Gave Maceo, in this epic Zone I showdown. Glenmuir High versus Gave Maceo High. See it happen live Saturday 3:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
What's your story? What's your sign? Who dreamers? Don't care what other people say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive. We come alive. We come alive. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive.
Welcome back to a Lead Story. All right, the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is joining me now for this conversation. He is not here in studio because he has the private session and other matters to organize and be a part of before Sunday's climactic day, but he is on Zoom to have this discussion. Good evening, good afternoon. Well, good evening, Dr. Campbell. Welcome again to Lead Story.
All right, good evening and good evening to your viewers.
Very well. How has the first day, the first private session gone, if indeed it is complete? Today's session on Friday.
Well, we had a very good day today. Today we pretty much took the reports from the officers to include chairman, legal advisor, deputy chairman, vice presidents, the regional chairman. That's what is going on in the different 6 regions within the party. Arms and affiliates, and of course from the commissions of the party as well. Tomorrow we go into the report by the General Secretary on the election preparedness discussion. And also we will speak about, we'll have a workshop, a policy commission will conduct a workshop as we seek to fine tune our ideas going into the next election. And of course on Sunday is the public session where all are welcome. And we'll have different speakers speaking on different issues, all speaking to the need for change, a change in the direction in which the country is being governed. Just time for a brighter day for Jamaica.
The energy going into conference last year, Dr. Campbell, was palpable. It was real. Those who were part of the public session spoke to a feeling like they hadn't experienced at a PNP conference for some cycles before. What is this year's conference poised to deliver on the energy front?
Well, this year it's even more palpable than that. I mean, if we can gauge these things, and there are some things that you can use to gauge it, based on just the number of requests that you are getting for shirts, for mobilization from the different communities. I think that this year will be much bigger and we'll have a greater energy level. The truth is that the comrades have been yearning for a victory. The party has not won a general election since December 29, 2011. And these persons are now very enthused. Our fortunes in the polls, our recovered state within the polls, our performance in the local government election has energized our supporters, our base. They now believe that we can win. And they are very much in tune to coming out and to being a part of this process. This is our last conference before general election, because the general election becomes due on the 3rd of September 2025. So even if it was to go right down to the wire, we would not have another annual conference before the election. So this is our final conference before the general election. So persons are energetic and energized towards coming out on Sunday, and we expect to have a bumper crowd there.
The feeling is that Mark Golding, well, you certainly were saying it before last year's conference speech by the Comrade leader, but many people, it was only after his speech at the conference that they said, well, yes, this is now a PNP united under Mark Golding's leadership. It took him 3 years to achieve that task, but he can't be marked hard because he was only new to that job and new to that front-facing job as party leader, because, of course, he's always a man who supports from the middle of the pack or from the sidelines. The unity in the party, has that improved in the time between last year and this year when Golding takes the stage?
I believe so. When I look and I assess the party, and I think I have a very good vantage point from which to look, when I assess what is going on in the PNP currently, I don't see anybody that is pulling in a direction that would suggest that they are not on board. Everybody wants to win. The different spokespersons, they're very in tune with their portfolio. They're working on different ideas that they want to propose. They're anxious to get in government and to hit the ground running. So at this point in time, I think that overwhelmingly the party is united and getting into election readiness. I wouldn't say we are exactly ready at this point in time. We still have some fine-tuning to do, but the energy and the mood within the party is certainly good.
One of the missions of an event like conference is to show to the potential electorate that my leader is better than the other leader, my party is better than the other party. In the head-to-head between Golding and Holness, Golding went into last year's conference speaking a lot about corruption and the perception of corruption, and the illicit 6 was fresh in people's minds. Now it's the illicit 8. Has the temperature changed somewhat where Jamaicans are no longer poised to see Holness in as negative a light as they were at last year's conference leading in?
I think Jamaicans will see Holness even more negative after the report is tabled on Tuesday. I don't think Holness has done anything to inspire confidence or to suggest to persons that they should view him in a more positive light. And from the last poll that was released on your station in June, his numbers continue to decrease, his positive ratings and his negative ratings continue to increase. The Prime Minister is still not certified at this point in time. So I don't see anything that would have changed in that direction. That's not the thrust of the presentation of the leader of the party, though. Your final presentation before an election has to be more around what is the state of affairs within the country and where we intend to go with a future PNP government. Others of us may be more into speaking to those issues and speaking to the ills of the society, but the party leader himself is more looking towards the future as to where a future PNP government will go.
So just to be clear, based on how you've divided the responsibilities, the party leader's message will seek to carry policy and talk about the next PNP administration. The job for people like yourself is to do the politicking, the kind of politicking that the base likes to hear and see on a platform. Am I correct?
But that's always been the format. I mean,
the format could be that the party leader goes for the politicking because he wants to set the tone for the kind of approach that you'll take to the individual attacks that are a necessary part of politics. So that's why I asked you.
No, man, we formed a very good team. I am who I am. I bring a certain approach to the political platform. He's who he is. They complement each other well. He speaks to policies and program and the future and what the PNP stands for. And I'm the one that brings that energy to the base of the party. That has been our approach. If persons have not realized that yet, then it means they're a little bit late to the game in realizing that. That was our approach in the local government election. It has always been that way over the last couple of years. And that won't change. So the issues surrounding Integrity Commission, the issues surrounding the health sector, the education sector, etc., are things that are more going to be highlighted by myself. The lead, as I said, is more painting a picture towards how do we get Jamaicans out of this low growth, low tech economy that we're in. How do we get persons to be on a livable wage? How do we get proper housing, better educational opportunities, and accessible healthcare for the population? Those sort of issues, and a safe community.
Yes. Hold it right there, Dr. Campbell. Let's take the final break and come right back. Speaking with the PNP General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, ahead of the public session of the PNP's annual conference on Sunday.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Ray and Neve, feel we culture. Yo! New beginning, we winning, so share our spirit where you living, yeah. Share it. I make we all a one bar, you don't know we come from far. From far, anytime we rep, feel we country. Rear rum, it have to come with me. No matter with the bad vibes. Poor rear rum, a celebration time. Rear rum. I feel we culture. Rear rum. Make we show ya Jamaican culture. Ray and Neve, you overproof from we just a do it to we culture.
Mark Golding and the PNP are already in conference mode. Private session started today, another private session on Saturday, and it culminated, climaxes with that public session on Sunday at the National Arena, where comrades are expected in their numbers to again fill the arena and give a boost to their leaders as they spit the messages from the stage. I have with me the General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Dr. Campbell, you've been at pains over the past few years to say that the transformation of Mark Golding will be a process. In the early days, there were many criticisms of his style. Many people wonder if he was suited to the cut and thrust of this kind of politics, which required a leader to be front-facing at all times. And you said that, look, it was a process that will deliver a better Mark Golding within a certain time. Is that transformation complete?
Not completed. So we have a lot to be proud of, but the work is not completed. It would be akin to celebrating before you cross the line if we were to say that the work is completed. The idea is to win a general election so that Jamaica can benefit from Mark Golding as a prime minister. We think that he has the intellectual capacity. We think that he has the experience, his time in the Ministry of Justice, his professional experience as a corporate lawyer, makes him very familiar with everything economic and the legislative framework of the country. We think that he has the necessary attributes and characteristics, loving, caring person, committed to what he's doing. So we believe that we have to do the work to ensure that he can become Prime Minister so that Jamaica can benefit from that, because we think Jamaica is in need of a leader that is compassionate, who has integrity, who ensures that Jamaica's reputation on the big stage is something that we can maintain. We have good friendships with our regional neighbors, our international neighbors, and that our international policy is not directed or dictated by some other country. So we think that there's a lot for him to do. Certainly, he has grown more into the role, and I think more persons are now seeing him as a future Prime Minister. The local government did a lot to assist, because for persons who thought that he wasn't viable, I think that election changed it. He was very much present in that campaign, pounding the pavement. I mean, it was a relentless effort, and it paid off. So it has positioned the party in a place now that we are not concerned. You know, I hear a lot of the commentary, and people somehow make it sound as if we are somehow depending on the JP to make a blunder for us to get to where we want to go. That's not our approach at all. We think that if we are able to From day one, we thought if we were able to unite our party, to energize our base, and then to present a practical approach to the people of Jamaica with workable solutions to resolve their everyday concerns, that we would be in the race. And we have stuck to that. Certainly, the cut and thrust of politics, it is adversarial. At times, you will have to say things about your opponents and the way they are managing things, but that has never been our sole focus.
Messaging, Dr. Campbell. Oftentimes, political parties let down the audience by not giving enough room for the articulation of message. Because if the PNP wants Jamaica House, one would expect that the party already has a set of policies. You've said that you have your policy sessions fine-tuning these ideas, that it will be presenting to the country to say, look, this is what we will do if we get into office to achieve this set of outcomes, which are better and different than what the incumbent is offering. Will it be as policy heavy as that on Sunday?
Well, you're in a space where there's a government that almost behaves as if they are kleptomaniacs, in that they will take your ideas and will give you no credit for it. So you have to be careful with how you enunciate those ideas. Certainly, the general philosophy and policy direction will be set, but not necessarily the programs that you will implement. Can you understand that it flows from having a philosophy,
yes,
which then informs
programs? I don't expect. I'm talking policy, yes.
Yeah, man. So we have been doing that. I mean, the leaders' past presentation in the budget debate, his presentation last year, gave that direction as to what we think should be done in education, what we think should be done in healthcare. Certainly, healthcare, you have to move to a primary healthcare focus. It is not possible if you just do the mathematics for somebody to be going on dialysis 2 times per week at $30,000 per session. That's $120,000 for the month. You're looking at over almost $2 million for the year. No, that's not sustainable for you to have thousands of persons who are being dialyzed in hospitals. So clearly the aim is to control the non-communicable diseases so that you prevent persons from getting to that point. So, I mean, that's just one example of it. In agriculture, it's the same thing. Agriculture, we have 250,000 farmers, and it only contributes 9% of the GDP. You can't have so much of the workforce, but only make that minute contribution to the GDP of the country. Clearly, you need to improve on your production and your productivity.
Yes. You've effectively issued an invite to Vibes Cartel to turn up at your annual conference on Sunday. What can Vibes Cartel do for the PNP, Dr. Campbell?
Well, we're the People's Party. We've always been the party that is welcoming to Jamaicans from all different areas of the society. We've been the party that has, understood that there are persons who come from certain areas of the society who can break the shackles of poverty through culture and through sports. And we've always tried to create that environment for them to ply their trades. Vibes Cartel is somebody that is, I think, a generational talent. I think that he's ahead of his time, and history will record his music kindly. Certainly, we want to wish him all the very best with his health and with his career going forward. He said it when he came out, to stay out of trouble, to do music that can, live the test of time. So if we're having a public session, it's open to all Jamaicans. I mean, I don't understand on what basis we would be opposed to people coming. Politics is about things that expand the numbers, yes. Addition and multiplication. It's not about division and subtraction.
Yes, but
we don't do things to decrease the numbers. We do things that expand the numbers.
Yes, but there are many DJs. They didn't write Kraft or Pablo YG or Skipper. I could name 5 dozen others. You invited Vibes Cartel, so I had to ask you specifically about him. Anyway, let me ask you this.
All are invited.
All are invited.
You're invited too,
I'm invited.
Yes, absolutely.
I hear you.
Ready to baptism.
I hear you. Let me ask you this last one before you go. Mark Golding's speech last year was very well received. The critics were very kind, and the encomiums were quite copious. But that was, you got the feeling, measured against his previous deliveries at conference in the role of PNP president. Now he has the challenge of being judged this year against the high watermark of last year, no pun intended. Can he hit the mark this year again, Dr. Campbell? Can he do even better in communicating and being received as 2023?
Well, he certainly has the attention of the public now, so I expect that he will do better. There are a lot of persons that were not hearing him before that are now hearing him. And we're very conscious about the ears within which we speak. As a communicator, you will know what I mean when I say that. So you have to speak into those ears. So he's very conscious of that. He knows the issues that are affecting the country. We've always said that we're data-driven, evidence-based, data-driven. So his presentation will be hitting on those points that the people are concerned about within the society and things that people want to see change. So I expect that it will be very well received.
And lastly, do you wake up in the mornings, Dr. Campbell, thinking that victory is in reach?
I spend all of my day strategizing. It has been a long road, and there's so many people that doubted the efforts and what we were trying to do. But we always had a plan. I've always said it from day one. Victory is within our reach. We think that at this point in time, we think there's a clear path to victory, and we think that if we're able to consolidate where we are, to ensure that we organize, we definitely have the popular support currently, but the election is going to be one seat by seat, so we have to ensure that we have 32 seats that we cannot lose. It's not just having 32 seats that we can win. We have to make sure we have 32 that we cannot lose. And so, you know, we are fine-tuning the work. This is my segment of the dance, should say. It is the part of it that I enjoy. So, you know, interesting days are ahead, but I believe we'll be able to get there.
All right. I hope you get many money pull-ups. Thank you this evening for your time. All the best to you.
Yeah, man, bless it.
Dr. Dayton Campbell, the PNP General Secretary. May I remind you that CVM will have a special broadcast around the PNP's public session of the PNP's annual conference on Sunday, starting at midday and running through until the opposition leader delivers his keynote address. So set your timers to point you to the television. Midday on Sunday, CVM will cover the PNP annual conference for you, the highlight of which will be the opposition leader's speech. There will be a panel to make its own assessment of what the comrades will get up to at the national arena on Sunday. That's my time for Lead Story for this week, and I thank the team that have put the program together week in, week out, day in, day out, and I make way now for TK and Curlin with the news at 7.